Hey, welcome to the Double D podcast. My name is David White. Partner is Daniel Zilberkin. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Dan.
And we are going to talk about the NBA post 2017. The season just ended, and we're going to just give our takes on what we thought about the NBA season. First thing I wanted us to talk about was whether or not this was the worst NBA season ever. Dan, what do you think?
It was certainly anticlimactic. There was a
Agreed.
lot of it was as soon as Kevin Durant announced that he was signing with Golden State, it kind of felt like it was a fait accompli. But it was still interesting in seeing how Golden State was going to play together, and just Russell Westbrook going insane on everybody. That was fun, regardless of everything else. The guy had 42 triple doubles in a season. So even if like the results might have been a little boring, that was fun to watch.
Russell Westbrook was by far the MVP of the regular season because he kept that regular season entertaining. If it wasn't for him, there was really not that much to talk about. Between him averaging a triple-double and the whole subplot of drama with him and Kevin Durant, worth the price of admission when it came to the last regular season.
And you can just see that guys really do play better when they're motivated. And that's sort of like what you got with Westbrook. He wasn't just motivated. He was like he visibly pissed off. And this is what happens when you give a guy 40% of their shots a game, and he wants to prove a point. He averages a triple-double for a season. And honestly, I'm all for it. Just give him the ball. But now he has Paul George, so he's going to have to be more normal now.
Well, the thing is that if he does the same thing next season that he did this season, it's actually going to prove Kevin Durant's point, which is that Russell Westbrook just monopolizes the ball. So if he up with the same kind of result, like if this team loses, they made it in the first, they lost in the first round. So if they lose again next season in the first round, Kevin Durant, the benefit of saying, "Hey, I told you so." You can't win with this guy because he's too hard to play with. Too selfish. He doesn't share the ball. And that was the funniest thing, is that when Kevin Durant first got to Golden State and he was going through the practices and whatnot, news bits that he shared with the media was that the team was so unselfish. Obviously, that was Westbrook. Into this season possessed, ready to prove that, and that Kevin Durant he was the jilted lover. So
yes,
but the thing that pisses me off, I'm going to answer my own question. Was this the worst NBA season ever? Yeah, it was. This was the worst NBA season ever because Russell Westbrook was a rare breed. I posted this thing on Facebook a couple of weeks ago about how what I'm seeing here, the big irony is that competition in the NBA has come at the expense of players and teams trying to kind of gain a competitive edge. Kevin Durant goes to Golden State. Teams are tanking. Players are coasting during the All-Star game. LeBron and other superstars are sitting their season. They're all doing this to gain a competitive edge. Changed as a result. We all knew. I mean, people can listen to our first podcast. We knew this was going to happen. We knew Golden State and Cleveland were going to make it to the NBA Finals, so there wasn't really much to watch. This all translated into a terrible season, but everybody was saying, you know what, there's a silver lining. The silver lining is that once we get to the NBA Finals and make it all worth it, it's going to be a crazy competitive finals. It'll be the best finals ever since, Jordan was in the league. And next thing you know, we're about to sweep the Cavs, and they ended up beating them in 5 games. That was the big thing. That was the big bait that we were all waiting for this whole season, was waiting for those two teams to match up. And that turned, and everybody got gypped. It was like the Floyd Mayweather pack Pacquiao fight. Everybody was talking about, and, you know, all the hype.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing is that Golden State is just so much better than everybody else, and it was clear that the Cavaliers just couldn't play defense with him. So it was like, even, you know, that one game where, you know, LeBron and Kyrie, you know, just like last year, they both had like 35 plus points, and they still couldn't do it. So it's just like the Warriors broke basketball. And I think basketball is such an interesting game to watch, even when it's uncompetitive, because I just sit there watching the Warriors do these things, and it's like, my God, this is amazing. They pass the ball, they shoot from three. It's like it's basically they're the Monstars. That's the best way to put it. They're the Monstars.
People should watch Space Jam. That's what you're referencing.
Yeah. Yes.
And what was I going to add to that? The common denominator, because when I was watching the Warriors, the thing that really stood out, it just demoralized teams. Teams would try to stay with them. They would bring their A game. And the next thing you know, it's like Kevin Durant hits a three, and then Steph Curry hits a three, and then Klay Thompson hits one. And then you're just like, for God's sakes, how is this fair? Yeah, like it's like you walked into somebody's nightmare when you play this team. But the common denominator from what I was talking about before, with Kevin Durant going to Golden State, teams tanking during the regular season, is a guy by the name of LeBron James. He is the leader of the new school. And, you know, teams, you didn't hear about teams tanking until LeBron was coming out in the NBA draft. Teams started tanking to gain a competitive edge so that they could get him. And then tanking just became this popular phenomenon. And going to Golden State, he did that because LeBron went to Miami. We talked about this in our preliminary prep of this podcast. LeBron was the one that created the super team era. Because here's the thing about the super team era. He first of all, LeBron did a podcast right after the season ended, and he talked about how he wasn't the one that started the super team era. Peyton, Karl Malone joined the Lakers. The Houston Rockets were stacked at one point with Barkley and Drexler and Olajuwon. But at the end of the day, LeBron is responsible for starting the super team era because he was a superstar in his prime when he joined another superstar in his prime. He voluntarily did that. Was it smart of him to do? Yeah. And I'm not arguing that it wasn't smart of him to do. I'm just saying that from a competitive standpoint, he started the trend of saying, hey, all these fans and media people talk about at the end of the day is that if you ain't got that ring, it don't mean a thing. Let's forget about who's on the team. Let's forget about, you know, regular seasons, even games, even, you know, being worth the difference. At the end of the day, it's all about making it to the finals and winning a ring. So I live in Cleveland. My team is in Cleveland, and nobody wants to come here. My GM can't get guys to come here. So you know what? I'm going to take matters into my own hands. I'm going to join this team in Miami. And here's the thing about it that's going to allow me to save face is that when I join that team, I'm not going to look like I hopped onto this bandwagon because I'm going to lead it and stop getting a lot of flack for joining the Warriors because he was immediately the best player on the team. LeBron stopped getting flack for joining Miami because he became the best player on the team. So it wasn't like he was along for the ride. He was the one that was manning the ship. And that is the saving grace for these guys. But at the end of the day, they still chose to join other superstars. And that is something that's terrible because at the end of the day, what I think makes sports so great is watching players overcome the odds, watching them overcome adversity, stepping up to the plate, really showing us the kind of mental toughness that we're really watching. Everybody watches those fourth quarters. Everybody watches those moments when the game is on the line and sees who is really going to step up in this moment. Not LeBron, Michael Jordan. That's what made him so famous, is that at the end of the day, whenever the moment was there, whenever the spotlight was on him, he always rose to the occasion. Even if he didn't rise to the occasion, he wasn't afraid to fail. That was the fundamental difference that ultimately broke down the whole Jordan debate on who is the best player ever, is that Michael Jordan was never one to shy away from the moment. LeBron, unfortunately, has done that on many occasions.
So if I understand what you're trying to say, you're trying to say that trying and failing is more admirable than trying to stack the deck to assure the ultimate result, which we all agree is winning a championship, even if somebody would call me a radical for saying I don't believe in championships, but that's not true. But
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, Dan. I'm saying that when we watch this past season Super Bowl, we thought the Falcons had the Patriots. It was over by halftime.
Yes.
Falcons were up by 21 points. And Tom Brady says, hey, guess what? I happen to be the best quarterback of all time. And I'm going to show you guys right now that I am that. Because even though we're behind the eight ball, even though it seems like the odds are clearly in the other team's favor, I'm going to step up to the plate. I'm going to show my mental toughness right here and now. And that's what made that Super Bowl so great. That's what makes sports so great, is that we're watching at the end of the day to see. We know that these guys are talented. We know that they're gifted. But it's one thing to be gifted. It's another thing to be able that you can step up to the plate in those big moments and you have the mental toughness, the success or failure that comes as a result.
But would you take anything away from Tom Brady, in this last Super Bowl? If, let's say, it doesn't work as well with the NFL as it does with the NBA, but imagine if Odell Beckham Jr. was a free agent and he says, I want to play with the best quarterback in the league, and Odell Beckham Jr. went to New England. Would that make both Odell Beckham Jr. and Tom Brady less talented, or what exactly?
It's not talent.
They would have less honor to their win just because they're trying to make sure they win. What's wrong with trying to improve your odds of winning as high as possible?
Look,
isn't the point trying to win?
That's a great point you're bringing up right now, and this is my response. The idea of sports is to win.
Yes.
So what you're saying is correct. But the essence of it, the spirit of why we watch sports, is how you were able to win. Were you able to win because you were able to overcome some kind of adversity? That's the thing about sports. This is the reason I love sports, is because sports at the end of the day is a microcosm of life. Through hurdles, we go through those peaks and valleys. But at the end of the day, and say that we made it to the finish line, we're really buckling down and really challenging ourselves. Yeah, fine. Let these great players join together and win and do whatever they want. But, have some pride. Have some belief in yourself that you're saying, I believe in myself enough that even though X, Y, and Z is going on, I'm still going to go out there and give it my all. Westbrook knew when he came into this past NBA season, there was no way he's going to go to the, he wasn't going to the finals. He wasn't going to win a championship. Yet for whatever reason, every single game he played his heart out. The NBA, the biggest difference between the NBA now and back when Jordan was manning the ship of the league and Kobe, is that it went so soft. The NBA is so soft now with how the refs call games and how these guys are like high-fiving each other and doing all that shit.
I have a
Let me just finish
Okay.
this one thought, and
Okay,
then
go.
I'll let you respond.
All
But
right.
on top of that, now that these guys and these teams are trying to gain a competitive edge, it's just stepping on the spirit of competition. And that's why I watch sports, because I want to see these guys at the end of the day overcome the mental elements that come with playing sports. Maybe it's because I'm a therapist, maybe it's because I'm into psychology, but that's the reason I personally watch it. And I think a lot of people would agree to the same thing.
I
What were you going to
think
say?
you're generally very right about the idea of striving and this and that and the other. And it is very hard to argue against that, even from outside, of a competition, because it's supposed to be about competition. But I had a very good point. I was thinking about this the other day. People
Okay.
like to talk about the NBA when it used to be, a tougher game and so on and so forth. And I remember watching that. Remember that Nets Spurs final, the 2002 final, or the
Between the
2003
Nets and the
final?
Spurs?
Yeah,
Was
between the
it
Nets and
Detroit and the Spurs?
yes. Well, Jason
It was
Kidd on
Detroit and the Spurs.
no. There was Detroit and the Spurs, and there was the Nets and the Spurs. They both played, right?
Okay, we'll finish. Yeah, okay.
Uh,
Remember
uh,
it, but yeah, keep going.
Remember how awful those games were? Like, they were like 89-76, and there was like fouls in the low post every 5 minutes, and it was grinding. That's not entertaining basketball. They're just awful. I don't understand why people like to say that the NBA used to be better when it was less entertaining. I like three-pointers a lot better than watching, low post play. Or is that just me?
I'll speak for myself. The main reason I watch the NBA, the main reason I watch sports in general, is for the competition. I want to see these guys competing. I want them to be cutthroat.
I was making an
When I'm a competitive person.
Okay.
Whenever I wake up in the morning and I go to the gym, that I get when I am exhausted and I'm ready to call it quits and leave. And then I just kind of surveil the room and I see who's really applying themselves in the gym. And that person will inspire me to step my game up and work even harder, because I want to really apply myself. I want to, I have that motivation to want to exceed my own limits. And that's why I watch sports, because I want these guys to be able to do the same. I love the fact that when the NBA Finals was over, Draymond Green was throwing all of this crap at LeBron and the Cavs about how they were able to basically sweep the team. And he was mocking them, because that's good. That's what the NBA needs. It needs rivalries. It needs these guys to be physical with each other. It needs like real drama. Like the drama between Westbrook and Durant was real. They didn't like each other. I don't care what Durant says. He doesn't like Westbrook. And that's what made it so compelling to watch them. And then, Durant bitched out and he was like, I want to be the good guy, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm watching to see these guys compete and overcome the odds and really step up to the plate and apply themselves and, really show their mental toughness. Because I think mental toughness was what made Michael Jordan so great. I wanted to transition to something else with you, which is, now that we can officially, I think you and I can both agree, the LeBron Michael Jordan debate is over, right?
Yeah, sure. He's never going to go undefeated in the finals. If that was some sort of criteria for greatness, going undefeated in the finals, sure, why not?
By the way, just a quick point to add, to find out what the ratings were, the TV ratings were for the regular season.
Yeah.
They actually dipped 6%. It wasn't a major decline, but it was a decline. People can go online and research it if they want. But the NBA Finals was as since Michael Jordan was in the league. That was what was interesting. But I think that if we have the same next season in the NBA Finals, the ratings are going to drop again, because I think every idea of how dominant Golden State really is and how much disparity there is in the league.
I think Golden State's been like really lucky too. That's the thing. They haven't had a major injury, to the big four now. To Thompson or Green or Curry or Durant in the playoffs this whole stretch. So it's like if any one of those four guys goes down, especially Draymond, if Draymond gets hurt, I think other teams in the West still have a very good chance of making the finals next year. So it's still, it'll take an injury, but somebody can do it.
I wouldn't say that other teams have a good chance. I'd say they have maybe a puncher's chance. But
I think. I
mean, I would also say the same thing with Conor McGregor when he faces Floyd Mayweather. You always have a puncher's chance. There's a chance he might land a lucky shot against Mayweather. Doesn't mean that that's going to really be the case.
Sure, but I feel like the Warriors have been way too lucky for way too long, and something has to happen. They can't keep going to final after final after final like this. There's something's got to give.
Dan, who do you think has had the better career, LeBron James or Kobe Bryant?
I think if you look
who's ranked higher all time?
I think if you look at the sort of the raw numbers, LeBron James is pretty much the single most efficient player in the history of the NBA, Like, there was that one season with the Miami Heat. Let me go look. Give me 1 second. There was that one season with
stats were ridiculous.
With the Miami Heat where he had a 125 offensive rating. And I want to look at the per. Give me 1 second.
You do that.
31. He had a 30.7 and a 31.6 per or PER in 2011, 2012, 2013. And I don't think that Kobe's ever come close to doing these sorts of efficiency things as well as LeBron. So LeBron is like the single greatest, most athletically gifted, freak in the history of the NBA. Kobe's good in other things. He's probably one of the greatest scorers ever.
I would rank Kobe higher than LeBron. This is why. Kobe's record in the NBA Finals is 5-2. LeBron James' record is 3-5 after the season. I think that when LeBron came into the NBA, first of all, I think that LeBron is the most naturally gifted player to ever play in the NBA. Would you agree?
Yes, he is the single biggest freak ever.
Right. Here's some numbers I want to throw at you, because part of why I think that why I rank Kobe higher than LeBron all time. First of all, an interesting little tidbit, Kobe and LeBron both played in the NBA Finals for the first time in their fourth season. Kobe in the 99-2000 season, when the Lakers played against Indiana, his final numbers were 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. His last NBA Finals appearance, which was 2010 against the Boston Celtics, his numbers were 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Same, but his points and rebounds nearly doubled. I think that shows a lot of growth in how far he's come as a player and his career. Meanwhile, LeBron James, in his first finals appearance against San Antonio, they got swept by San Antonio. His numbers were 22 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 6.8 assist point per game. In this past season's NBA Finals, his numbers were 33 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. He averaged a triple-double.
Yes, he averaged a triple-double for the NBA Finals.
Right, let me finish. But the margin of growth.
Oh, that is
First time.
no. I'm not letting you. That's
No,
the
no,
no, no,
that's a very smart argument. Let me
no.
finish.
It's not.
It is. The margin of growth is not as visible for LeBron as it is for Kobe. And by the way, here's a fun little thing. Here's a fun little activity I encourage you and anybody that's listening to do. Go online. Forget what us fans think about. Forget what the media thinks about. Go online and see what players like Larry Bird, Jackson, guys that actually played in the league, see what their opinion is on who they would want to have on their team between LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. Something in itself.
I think Kobe did a very admirable Michael Jordan impression. That's all he wanted to do, was to pretend to be Michael Jordan. And that's exactly what he did. Except that he had Shaq for 3 of those finals. And it's not like, or 2 of those finals.
And LeBron had Wade and Chris Bosh, and now he has Kyrie and Kevin Love.
But I was saying, it's you were talking about that first finals in '99 or whatever. It's like Shaq averaged 35 points per game in that finals. You like won the MVP going away. The Lakers were Shaq's team in that final, so it's not like Kobe's actually, was responsible for them winning that championship. Even if you want to go down that road, that was a much more Shaq-driven thing.
Yeah, but people that have been following Kobe's career can tell you that one of his most famous lowlights is when did make the playoffs for the first when the Lakers made the playoffs for the first time. They were playing against the Jazz. It was the end of the game was on the line, and Kobe shot 2 air balls at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kobe is thought of as a top 10 player of all time. It's one thing that he wanted to be like Michael Jordan. I think he'd be the first person to acknowledge it. But if you're going to model your game after somebody, why not model it after the best player to ever play in the league?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with modeling yourself against Michael Jordan. It's just that I feel like that there's this unfair bias coming from you, this weird anti-LeBron thing, which I've never understood, and I've given up on trying to understand, because the guy's gone to 7 straight finals and 8 overall, and somehow that's a knock against him when the guy's gone to 7 straight finals. What kind of logic is that? Oh, the guy's gotten his team 7 chances to win, but somehow he hasn't won it 7 in a row. It's like there's other players, and he was with the Heat for the first 2, and it's I don't know. He's very good.
You tried to discount my Kobe LeBron growth thing by saying that Kobe was playing with Shaq. Yes. And that first finals appearance. Okay, so let me do the same thing for you now. So you're right. LeBron did make 7 straight finals appearances in the Eastern Conference, which is getting worse by the day.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe it'll get better if Gordon Hayward joins Miami or Boston, but not by that much. So that's something that people need to take into account when they're saying, "Oh wow, LeBron has made it to 7 straight NBA Finals." LeBron basically jump rope through the Eastern Conference playoffs. Like he was playing around with the Celtics and with Toronto. Did you see what he was doing in those games?
It was too easy.
Like he was just mocking.
It was too easy. You're not
gonna get it.
You're not gonna get an argument from me saying that
it was too easy. But I wanted to respond to something you just said, which is you think that I have something against LeBron. I do have something against LeBron. It's part of it, a very small part, is that he left my team to rejoin the Cavs. But here's the thing that really, really makes me resent him, is that he is the most visible reminder of how one-sided sports. We fans, we devote ourselves, you know this better than anybody, we devote ourselves to our teams. I don't do it so much now as I used to. Mm-hmm. But when the off season comes around, it's like all that passion, all that time that we spend rooting for these guys and really trying to help them succeed, it doesn't even cross their minds at the end of the day when push comes to shove and they're choosing what their future is going to be. Do you really think LeBron is going to ask? Do you think LeBron is really going to consider when he becomes a free agent next season, wow, you know, I really, really want to go to the Lakers because I want to ensure my, you know, success in movies and, you know, major media markets. But let me really take into account all those fans in Cleveland that really rooted for me and, you know, were kind enough to wait after games to try to get my autograph, even though it didn't seem very plausible that it was. These aren't things that they consider. And LeBron James, you know, when he's been playing musical chairs by leaving Cleveland to go to Miami and then leaving Miami to go to Cleveland and now being rumored to go to the Lakers, there's no more transparent evidence than LeBron James on how one-sided sports is. That's why I resent him.
Athletes are people, and they're free agents, and they're rational actors. Yeah. What do you expect them to be selfless? Nobody's selfless. Not a single person on this goddamn green earth is selfless. Why would you hold athletes of all people to a different standard?
What you're saying, sports is like a relationship that we form with these players and these teams.
Oh, sure.
And so all I'm saying at the end of the day is fine, be selfish. Everybody's selfish.
Yes.
But consider how much we've invested in ourselves for your benefit. There's not one iota of consideration about that.
No, it's not.
And I'm not saying that LeBron is the only. I'm saying that he is just the most visible. Like it's not more transparent by anyone more so than LeBron because he is very cunning. Maneuvers himself. It's just my personal feelings as a fan. I'm not talking. I'm just arguing as a fan.
Okay, as a fan, that's okay. But I'm saying that it's been what 40 years since that ruling on MLB where they allowed free agency, right? It's been 40 years, and we still crucify guys for being free agents. The things that we heard this summer when Kevin Durant left OKC, they made him out to be Judas. If he's a free agent, that's his right to leave. I don't understand. They don't owe anybody loyalty. What kind of bullshit thinking is that? Go get your money. Go win. You don't owe anyone anything. Just do it. Just go. Do the thing that's best for you. I'm not joking. This is why free agency is good. There was a world before free agency where teams literally owned players. Would you rather go back to that?
I wouldn't want players to feel like forced to stay on these teams, even though they have a very big financial incentive to do so. I'd want them to actually want to stay with us. I have broken up with women. Women have broken up with me. It's a very painful thing to have to go through, and I kind of relived those moments. A star player either leaves or, you know, there was a bad breakup, and at the end of the day, I still stand by my original thought that decision was ultimately what it comes down to is when you break up with somebody, it's never a good thing. People will always be bitter when you break up with them. It's just how it is. You can give them a bouquet of flowers, you know, you can give them chocolate, you can sing their praises, but at the end of the day, when you break up with somebody, all they're taking away from that is, oh, we weren't good enough for you. Screw you. That's just what it is.
Okay. I think this is a much heavier discussion than I actually wanted to get into.
It's not a heavier discussion. It's just, it is what it is. In any case, I wanted to talk about, okay, so yeah, by the way, just to confirm my stance, I think that Kobe, I would rank him ahead of LeBron. He's got the rings. I think he's grown more as a person. And obviously you disagree. You probably rank LeBron ahead of Kobe.
Yeah.
thing I wanted to talk to you about today is the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to anybody listening. I wanted to talk about Gordon Hayward for a second because he's set to announce his decision on where he's going to go, and our team, the Miami Heat, might be one of them. What do you think?
I feel like he would make a very good choice to come here or to Miami because he's lived his whole life in Indiana and Utah. So come to Miami, have some fun, win some basketball games, and just do you just to be consistent from earlier. But I feel like Boston actually has the better chance of signing him.
Did you hear what Ainge's son, who happens to be somebody that works in Congress, I forget what his position was, but did you see what Ainge's son tweeted him the other day? He tweeted him about how the city of Massachusetts is about to propose a millionaire tax. More money if he goes to Boston than if he stays in Utah or goes to
Miami.
I think that I would have fly in the room. Riley pitched these guys because I wonder what the hell he's doing. Is he like throwing some strippers in there? What the hell is Pat Riley doing? Because everybody talks about how Pat Riley is just the man when it comes to recruiting free agents. I just wish I knew what the heck he's doing.
Me too. That'd be kind of fun to see. I bet he's very slick. He kind of reminds me of Gordon Gekko from Wall Street. Greed is good. He's got that slick back hair. He probably got a hell of a sales pitch. It's probably a very interesting situation to be in.
I love Pat things, but above all else, there's so much of myself that I see in that guy. He's competitive as hell. He holds grudges. He tries to charm people. And that it's got to be eating at Pat Riley. That if Gordon Hayward doesn't go to Miami, he just hopes like hell that he doesn't go to Boston because Pat Riley hates Danny Ainge.
Why does Pat Riley hate Danny Ainge? I've heard that before, but I never looked into it. Do you know the background to that?
I don't know the background to it, but I think the gist of it from Riley's point of view is that Ainge has just always been a whiny little bitch.
Okay.
That's what it is. And you know what? I take Pat Riley's side because nobody likes whiny little bitches. I've whined like a bitch in the past, and you know what? I had to slap myself on the wrist for it because I was wrong. But yeah, nobody likes a whiny little bitch, and that's what Pat Riley says Danny Ainge is. And you know what? Has more to offer when it comes to trades. And Jimmy Butler was out there, Paul George was out there, and now they're on their new teams. Ainge could have got him. He decided to stand pat, and you know what? That's a whiny little bitch thing to do. I think Ainge is one of those guys that falls in love with overthinking stuff. I think he's like somebody that likes to hoard more so than actually just getting off the pot.
But they added they traded the first overall pick to Philadelphia, and they got the third overall pick back. They drafted Jason Tatum, and the Lakers aren't going to be good next year, so they have the Lakers pick next year, and they still have one more Brooklyn pick, right? So it's like
he's a good GM. I'm not gonna say he isn't a good GM, but this habit of just trying, I think he's a little fixated.
You're fixated on the short term. This is the thing. There's no guarantee that Paul George was going to re-sign with Boston. So why would you give up all of that for a one-year rental? You never know what you're going to get next year. So it's better just to keep it. And sure, and maybe Jason Tatum isn't exactly the same sort of high level super prospect that some of these other guys are, but he's still the third overall pick of the draft. You never know what he could turn out to be. So, if they add Gordon Hayward also, which they have a very, very good chance of doing, there's absolutely no reason to think that Boston can't maybe get closer to Cleveland. I'm not sure they can beat Cleveland, but add Tatum, add Hayward, that's a better team than last year. So, what, hoarding assets? No, using assets. You draft your picks. You
Yeah,
go
you there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Hello?
I'm here. You go after free agents. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's a good GM.
Fair enough. I don't know. I've heard Danny Ainge talk. He seems like a whiny little bitch. So
I think those are two.
Riley's my man. I'm a loyal guy. I'm gonna stand by my guy.
I'm talking about two completely different things. I don't care about his personality, and I don't care about Pat Riley's grudges. I'm just talking about the simple math of running a basketball team. The guy seems to be pretty good at that. They went to the the Eastern Conference Finals and added the third overall pick in the draft. That seems to be pretty good.
Fair enough. LeVar Ball. What do you think about our man LeVar Ball?
I think he's a crazy person.
Big baller brand.
I think he's entertaining and stupid. I think he annoys the hell out of me, but like when I'm in a bad mood and annoyed, he annoys me. But when I'm feeling happy, he makes me happy. It's one of those things. Are you there? Did you crash?
Of like here. Can you hear me?
No, you went away there for a second. Should we just stop this?
Hello?
I'm here. I don't know. I think your internet's fucking up.
Danny,
No, you're breaking up all the time. I don't know what's going on. Should I just pause it? Should I just end it? Hello?
Because a lot of I need
I have no idea what's going on. Now I can. Yeah, now it's better.
Oh, yeah, you broke in. Now
I haven't talked in like 5 minutes. It's been all you.